Welcome to In Brief. Today we will be joining the dots with Dr. Richard Ikiebe. Doctor, following the recent elections and inauguration of a new government in Nigeria, what landscape do you see ahead for peace and social justice in the country?
Well, it's difficult to say. It's difficult because a lot of people are excited right now, and maybe rightly so. People are excited because there is some of movement, and there's been reverses in terms of the foreign exchange. There's change of military people, which has to do with security. There is petroleum subsidy removal. So a lot of what you read in the press seem to be exciting. It's what the typical thing people call a honeymoon period. That's what you're going through now. So honeymoon periods are usually not good determinant signs by which you read the future. Killings are still going on in various parts of the country. So what we really need to do is to give the new government chance and see how it settles down. Anybody who wants to predict a future now or claims that he knows which direction Nigeria is going to go, it's not probably telling us the whole truth. Maybe there's something the person knows that we don't know.
Doctor, what is the particular plight of the Christians and the Christian communities in the middle belt of Nigeria currently?
The plight of Christians and Christian communities in the middle belt is a story that has refused to interest the media, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, in such a way that it can be gripping. But again, there is some level of hope. I mean, with the changes in the military architecture at the top, there is hope. But whether it's going to be a lasting hope or just a hope that would lead us back to the same status quo, I don't know. But in terms of plight, the truth is that in Benue, in Plateau, and southern Kaduna, the killings have not stopped. Those are the predominant areas where you have Christian communities. But one must quickly add also that there are killings in Zamfara, in Kebbi, in parts of Sokoto, in Katsina, which are not necessarily Christian communities. So there's a bit of an ethnic thing that is involved in it. But in Benue, it is the Christians who are suffering because it's a predominantly Christian state. In Plateau, it is Christian communities that are being decimated because the one or two largely Muslim communities have not suffered any attack at all in a long time, if at all. In southern Kaduna is the same thing. So the reason why most people give it a Christian coloration is because in places where you have Muslim communities side by side with Christian communities, the attacks on Christian communities are almost incessant, whereas the Muslim communities are usually overlooked. And these are patterns that some people have observed over time, again and again. So if you are a Christian in southern Kaduna, it's difficult not to see the element of Christianity in the selective killings, in the choices that the killers make in terms of which community they attack. So it's a problem that we are hoping that the current government will deal with in a very decisive way.
And finally, What should the Nigerians in the diaspora and the friends of Nigeria internationally be doing to assist Nigeria at this time?
The Nigerians in diaspora and friends of Nigeria should first of all take a deep interest. What we have now is a casual interest, because if you don't arm yourself with information and you don't really know what is going on, it becomes difficult for you to contribute in a measurable and positive ways to finding a solution. I cannot prescribe solutions for anybody, but it is when you take a deep interest, you will now ask yourself, what can I do? And you can only act from your position of strength. I can say, yeah, well, look for a group like the PSJ that is fighting this and see how you can support. Ask PSJ, where do you need help? I know that PSJ people, they're looking for volunteers, they're looking for people who write to their MPs. As for Friends of Nigeria, I say to them that, look, the problem Nigeria has had in the last 8-10 years is not a Nigerian problem anymore. It has become a regional, an African regional problem. It has become an international problem, a global problem, because God forbids if Nigeria implodes, it's going to affect all the countries around Nigeria, West Africa, Central Africa. It's going to affect everybody everywhere. So the international community ought to really deeply think about what is going on in Nigeria and ask, how is this going down? And the time for burying our heads in the sand and pretending that the Nigerian problem will soon go away, it's over. It's deep. If you go by the statements that the former governor of Kaduna State made, say, about 3 weeks back, if you go by his track record in Kaduna State, if you go by some of the utterances that you hear, if you go by the aftermath of Deborah Samuel's killing, what has happened since then, or what has not happened since then, you know that the deep-seated issues that need to be addressed have not been addressed yet. And until they are addressed, it's difficult to say that is just a Nigerian problem. So both Nigerians here and Nigerian friends of Nigerians should take a deep dive, educate themselves, find out if these things are indeed true or whether some people are just making noises. It becomes easier for you to begin to look for, what can I do? What can we do? How can we help the Nigerian government? How can we help the Nigerian people? How can we help the displaced people? How can we get those who are bent on creating crisis and chaos in Nigeria? How can we help them to know that Nigeria has enough for everybody? You know, there is. I keep telling my friends, my northern friends, my eastern friends, there is enough for the Fulanis in Nigeria as they are now. There is enough for the Yorubas. There is enough for the Igbos. There's enough for everybody, if only we will join hands together to seek peace. And that is what PSJ is all about.
Dr. Richard Ikiebe, thank you very much for your time. To keep this conversation going and to find out more, contact us to book a catch-up online or in person. Support our efforts and cause by making a regular donation or even a one-off donation. Join the movement today to bring peace, security, and social justice to Nigeria and Nigerians by scanning this code. Until we come your way again with In Brief, remember to follow PSJ UK on our various social media platforms. Do comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel.